Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. In this video, I'll give you a detailed look and inside guide to the huge $1.75 trillion stimulus plan from the Democrats. 14 things that could impact your quality of life and what could get in the way. This is based on an article from Politico that you see on your screen right now. Your guide to the huge Democratic deal, 14 new policies and what could stop them. As always, we'll give you a link to this resource in the description section below, so make sure you check it out. Let's start with number one, support for working families. This plan includes $400 billion to subsidize childcare for most US families and set up universal pre-K throughout the country. Now, this is $25 billion less than the original plan by the president. Now, this is enough to cover free preschool for all 3 and 4-year-olds in the United States and help cover childcare costs for families making under $300,000. Now, the problem here is this plan provides no money for paid family and medical leave, which was a top priority for progressives, but this idea was killed by Senator Joe Manchin, the West Virginia conservative senator. He basically killed the entire idea. The second proposal is hearing coverage under Medicare. We're talking $35 billion to cover hearing care for older Americans who receive Medicare. Now, while Bernie Sanders has been passionate about this, there was a potential pitfall to this as well. And he said he will accept nothing less. He said, and this is important, keeping teeth in your mouth as you grow old should not be a luxury in this country. But again, Joe Manchin raised concerns about keeping Medicare from running out of money in the current state. So again, that was a setback for the original plan. Let's take a look at tax breaks, which is the next item. A 1-year extension of the latest boost to the child tax credit, plus a 1-year extension of the enhanced income tax credit for low-wage workers who did not have kids. Now, this plan would also make the child tax credit permanently refundable. Again, there was a pitfall to this. Progressives wanted a much longer or permanent extension of the child tax credit. And what ended up happening was that House Appropriations Chair Rosa DeLauro, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, said last week that a 1-year extension would be a big mistake. The next point is cheaper prescriptions. A plan to lower the cost of prescription drugs is not in the framework, but Senator Kristen Sinema, the Democrat from Arizona, and the White House have a deal on a far less expansive proposal than party leaders are trying to enact. Now, the fate of that compromise is still uncertain, and the plan that Kristen Sinema backs would only allow the government to negotiate some hospital-administered drugs and those with expired patents. So this approach could reward drug companies because they are very good at gaming the patent system. The next item is job training. $40 billion on job training programs is a big cut from the $100 billion original proposal. And the pitfall, the setback, is that some employment experts warn that $40 billion might not be enough to get American workers into high-demand careers that pay living wages and fill labor shortages. The next item is the Medicaid gap fix, health coverage for an estimated 4 million people stuck in what's called as the Medicaid gap. The pitfall is it's not clear if progressives will accept the final language in the 1,684-page Build Back Better agenda, because there's a lot of criticism amongst liberals that it's an expensive solution that subsidizes private insurance rather than creating a new federal program. The next item is immigration reform. $100 billion to, I quote, reform our broken immigration system. The administration said it wants to reduce backlogs, expand legal immigration for immigrants, and make the asylum system and border processing more efficient and humane. Now, the pitfall is this $100 billion is not included in the $1.75 trillion bill, which means it may or may not be included. Now, the next item, this is important for many of our fellow Americans, Obamacare tax credits. Now, the healthcare subsidies that were set to expire in 2022 would run through 2025 under this package, continuing tax credits to help people cover the cost of their health insurance premium. Now, the White House does call this the biggest expansion of affordable healthcare coverage in a decade. The problem is it's not forever. Majority of the party leaders want to make these generous Obamacare subsidies permanent, but Republicans do not want to extend it, especially if they win back control of the Congress or White House. Housing assistance is the next point. $150 billion for housing programs, including the construction and rehabilitation of up to 1 million new affordable rental and single-family homes. Now, this money would also go towards public housing, rental assistance, and aid to help people cover the down payment to purchase a home. Now, the downfall here is that progressives have repeatedly pushed the White House to retain as much as possible of the $327 billion in housing funding that House Democrats approved last month. Speaker Pelosi was still pushing last week for the extra $175 billion, but Democrats are likely to accept the smaller pot of money with their focus on other spending battles. The next item, in-home care. $150 billion to support in-home care for older people and those with disabilities. And this money was supposed to permanently boost Medicare coverage for those services, help reduce the list of more than 800,000 people waiting for support, and raise the pay of the industry's workers. Now, the pitfall is that this is far short. This $150 billion is far short of the $400 billion that was first pitched by the president. $150 billion is unlikely to clear the wait list or raise wages for home healthcare workers. The next item is tax hikes. An extra 5% tax hike on individuals earning more than $10 million, with an additional 3% for individuals making more than $25 million. Now, the administration also wants to beef up IRS enforcement, but the pitfall here is that the Democrats have struggled to come to a consensus on tax hikes and ways to pay for President Biden's agenda. Progressives want to tax the wealthy, while some Democrats say they don't want to rush to create a new tax system and tax multimillionaires. And so taxing multimillionaires' assets like real estate holdings, stocks, and art is really a complex thing. The next item, folks, is tuition aid. A $550 boost to the maximum amount a student can receive each year through the Pell Grant program. Now, that would be on top of the maximum yearly Pell Grant of about $6,500 that helps cover higher education costs. Now, the problem here is the proposal does not fulfill President Biden's campaign promise of covering 2 years of free community college. The next item, climate-friendly incentives. $555 billion for a bunch of programs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and consumers would get up to $12,500 in credits for buying electric vehicles made in union shops. And so this was super interesting, folks. Now, the White House framework does not mention methane-free, which is a top priority for progressive Democrats and one of the last energy policies still being negotiated in the package. So that's a major pitfall. Now, the final point here is child nutrition assistance. Child nutrition assistance to offer free school meals to almost 9 million children who need this help. It would also provide a $65 per child benefit each month to help families buy groceries during the summer months when school is closed. About 29 million children are now covered under that summer EBT program. Now, the pitfall here is that the summer meal subsidy is substantially less than what anti-hunger and education advocates had hoped. Now, last summer's EBT program from 2020, which was extended by the Biden administration, gave families $375 to help replace school meals for the summer months, and that is roughly double what the compromise would provide. So that's where things stand, everyone. 14 items that could impact you from the Biden agenda and the pitfalls facing those items. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. I appreciate you watching. Please support our channel by clicking like, by clicking subscribe, and by enabling notifications if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.